Hi everybody, we're going to do recipe remedy here. We're going to do a different twist. Normally we would do a meatloaf and from a recipe cookbook or what have you, and for some reason every time we tried those they just never work. So in my mind we kind of came up with something, and so you can kind of see what we have here. To start with, you need at least a pound of ground beef. I already pre-cooked it. This is what's going to be, we're going to call double baked meatloaf. Okay. So ground, 1 pound of ground beef, dice up some tomatoes. I've got more than enough, so I'm not going to use all of this, and I'll explain to you when we get there. Dice up some onions. I also do the green onions, some jalapeno, some crackers. I already did in the air fryer some bread, because we got to grind up some bread to go in there. Couple eggs, some just regular tomato sauce. Of course, some A1, some mustard, and I use a little bit of ranch. You can use mayonnaise, and then a little milk. So we're going to put all this together. And prep time, it takes a little while to make a meatloaf, from start to finish. You're probably looking at, to get to where I got here, probably took me about 30 minutes, because I pre-cooked the ground beef. Once you're done and you get everything together and put it in the oven, you're gonna cook it for another 45 minutes at 350. So it's kind of a simple, and it actually comes out really good. So let's get started. Let's get this thing going. I'm gonna start off first with, let's do the breadcrumbs. Let's do that first. We use the good old-fashioned Cuisinart, pretty simple. I usually get like Ritz crackers too. I'll usually put maybe about 10. I don't know how many I have in there. I might have 12. Again, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. We're gonna grind up the crackers and some bread. This is what's going to go to kind of blend it all together. I like to use the dry stuff first before I do the wet. It's a little easier to mix it all up. So we're going to do some bread, throw some bread in there. We're going to grind it up. And this is all going to get put together, and it'll come out really nice. So I cooked up like 5 pieces of bread. I just use regular bread from the grocery store. You can use buns, you can use sourdough. I just went with whatever I could find that's easy. Toast it for maybe 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It's crunchy. You put it in this deal here, and we're gonna grind it up. You might have to start with a small amount first to kind of get it all in there. These are really handy. You can pick these up for like 20 bucks at Costco. You can pick them at Walmart, Target, anywhere. They're the really coolest thing. So I'm just gonna grind this up. And it's okay if you make a little too much of the bread. So I'm just gonna throw this, and I'm gonna take these out of the way, because I'm just gonna put them in the bowl here. I'm gonna grind these up, why not, because I'm here already. And I could probably throw another one in. And again, I'm kind of eyeballing it. How much breadcrumbs, because you can use breadcrumbs, do you need? Probably about a cup with the pound. And you could double your recipe. So if you have 2 pounds, you can make it 2 pounds, 3 pounds. You could do that. There's kind of with any recipe, there's, trial and error. You got to just do it. Every time I do meatloaf, it comes out really good. Here we go. We're going to grind up the rest of this. You have to pulsate it several times because it falls to gravity. And you want your breadcrumbs. Yeah, they're I'd say that's probably pretty good. Okay. So we're gonna put all the breadcrumbs. Yeah, they look all right. So we're gonna put those in here. All right. This is easier because then I don't have to clean this thing, and I can just make it work. Okay, so breadcrumbs. Okay, so here's how the recipe works. So you gotta bear with me. My craziness is here, I assure you. First of all, in any meatloaf, you need an egg. You could do 2. Sometimes I like to do 2 because it kind of gets it all to hold together a little better. So I'm gonna do 2 eggs. I think most recipes call for 1, but hey, who doesn't like eggs, right? So we're gonna do 2 eggs. Okay, so here's what I did. I kind of threw a little bit of everything, and it all depends on how you want your texture, because you can mix it in or you can grind it up. It's all gonna go on top of with the roast beef, and then you're going, I said roast beef, ground beef, and then it's gonna go in the oven. So we're gonna put some jalapeno, and I'm just gonna kind of help myself a little bit. We're gonna grind this up. If you grind it up, you're gonna get better consistencies, better flavor. It'll come out better. And again, I made too much. I mean, this is probably like 2 cups of onions. I don't need this many onions. But what I could do is I can grind some onions up, and then I could throw some in with the meatloaf, so some's grinded up and some's not. And I kind of sometimes will do that. The other thing I'll do too is, since I made extra of everything, I'll go in and make a salsa as well when I'm done, because I have plenty to make a salsa. And you can make your own salsa, and I should do a video on that. It's very easy to do. So we got some tomatoes. I'll put a little bit of the green onion in there. And then what else? Oh, the best part. You gotta have the best part. Put a little bit of ranch. You could use mayonnaise. I just go in here, put that in there, right? And I'm not doing any, there's no really right or wrong way to do this. Just you do some squirts. This is the best thing about cooking. You kind of get an idea. So mustard, I gotta put some mustard in there. That's probably about right. And then, of course, A1 sauce. You gotta have some A1 sauce. Some would say to put ketchup. I'm not a big fan of ketchup because ketchup has sugar. And who needs sugar when you're making something to eat, you know? Sugar is for, like, I don't know, baked goods or cookies. I mean, it makes no sense. And then, of course, you gotta put some tomato sauce. So a little bit of tomato sauce. Usually you can pick these up at the store, like 2 of these for $1. I'll usually put this on the top once I cook it, this tomato sauce. And it doesn't matter what brand you use. They're all about the same. So I used about half. I've got another can here. So now I'm gonna grind all this up. And look, I didn't really use a whole lot, but when I mix it in, I'm gonna throw some bigger tomatoes in and kind of give it a little bit of poof of flavor. So we're gonna grind this up. And again, these are very handy. I don't own we actually own a food processor, but this is the easiest to clean, easy to work with. It's the perfect size. Okay, that's it. We're good there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Look at that. So it's all grinded up. We are going to put that in with our ground beef here. So it's gonna really liquidate this. It's gonna get really wet. So we're just gonna throw it in there. Pretty simple. Okay, so like I said, normally people will get in there with their hands. I'm not a hands guy. I don't like to get my hands in there. To me, it's just too cold. I'll use a spoon. So I'll just get a big spoon. I'll stir it around, or a small spoon, it doesn't really matter. You wanna stir it around so the flavor gets in there, okay? So like I said, your consistency, see it's a little wet. So now what you could do is, like I said, you can add a little bit of flair to it. So you're like, oh, you know what, I like a little bit more onions because you grinded them up. So you know what, let's put a little onion in there. It's kind of like, makes it like a little cheeseburger-ish. So I'll put some onions in. I can put a little bit more of the green ones in, right? Go for a little color flair, color pop. It looks pretty cool. Put a little bit more tomatoes in. That'll give it some texture, okay? I'll even throw a little bit of jalapeno, give it some pop. The only thing that I missed out on is I'm not a real big salt and pepper person, but you could salt and pepper on top of this, or you could wait until you get it out. So here we go, we're grinding it up. So you can still see it's kind of wet still, but I've got tomatoes in with it. It actually smells wonderful. You can see the consistencies there. Now, here's the fun part. I've got all these breadcrumbs. So I'm just gonna take the breadcrumbs and just dash them in here, right? So I'm basically trying to dry this up. I'm trying to dry it up a little bit. Now, I've read in many recipes you could put milk in it, and sometimes I do. I put some in a cup just in case if I get it too dry. But a lot of times I'll dry it up with the breadcrumbs, and I'll put a little bit of milk in there just to give it the milk. And remember, this is all going to kind of hold itself together. So a little more breadcrumbs. I think right now I've probably used, I don't know, not half yet. I've probably used maybe a cup. I'd say that's probably good enough for the breadcrumbs. So normally what I'll do now is I'll kind of create a little divot in here, and I'll come in with a little bit of milk, just a little bit. That's probably good. And then I'll just kind of stir that in there. Meatloaf is really easy to make. Again, this is double baked meatloaf. You could do this with raw ground beef, and the problem that you have is all the oils and fat kind of run off of it, and it doesn't set up good. So I like to cook it ahead of time. And I don't think I've found any recipes that say double cooked meatloaf. So remember, this is one I concocted in my head, Recipe Remedy. We've tried many different ones, many different books, and we've kind of looked at them all, and this kind of seems to be the best that we can come up with. Okay, so here's your consistency. So this is going to be the fun part. I'm going to put a little bit more of those in there. Now we're going to put this on a pan. I like to use a typical, it could be any type of pan. It could be a glass. And basically I'm going to take this and put this in there. Now, usually you don't have to butter it.
Is it a 9 by 12?
Or 9 by 11 maybe.
Yeah.
It looks like the size of a piece of paper. You can butter it, but you really don't have to. Basically, your consistency, it's almost like a concrete. It's kind of funny how it kind of all comes together. But basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dump it in the pan. And you can with these type of pans, this is one of those Le Creuset. You can pick these up anywhere. They're really expensive, but they're really nice and they clean out really good. So normally you'd want to butter it because the butter would help save your pan, but I'm telling you, this thing is bulletproof. Other than dropping it, it cleans right up. And the funny thing is nobody tells you about this until you get your own stuff and then you figure it out. Anyways, okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put it on the pan. Now you're probably wondering, well, how long do I cook it? What temperature do I cook it at? It's actually fantastic news. Since I only did a pound, typically, I'm gonna turn around and turn on the oven. I didn't turn it on yet. 350 is good. You can do 375. Generally, you wanna cook it for like 45 minutes. Being it was already cooked already, it's not gonna take as much time as you may think. Usually I like to do my kids' skills. And like I said, you can use your hands. I just don't like getting my hands all gooey. I'll use the spoon. And basically I'm just trying to mat it all together. And you can, it does help if you put this in the refrigerator and let it set up in the refrigerator for a good 20 minutes before you cook it. Because the refrigerator will allow it to, kind of like cookies. Sometimes with certain cookies, you're better off putting them in the refrigerator for an hour, 2 hours, or whatever. It'll keep its composure. So basically, this is what I'm looking at. It actually smells very good. It's really simple. And then look, this is it. So what you're gonna do is when you're ready to put it in the oven, you're gonna put it in the oven, like I said, for about 45 minutes. Normally I'll pull it out about 15 minutes before, and I'll just sprinkle some of this sauce over the top. I just use this. People will use ketchup. I've even concocted my own where I mix this in with tomatoes and maybe a little bit of ketchup to kind of give it a little bit of flavor. Whatever works for you, works for you. Try it out. But that's really all you do to make the meatloaf. What do you need to add to my comments here?
So you refrigerate it. I'm his wife, by the way, the person behind the camera. I apologize. I'm trying to keep the camera as steady as possible. I know you said no ketchup and stuff. Do you ever put the tomato sauce on top?
I do at the end after it's cooked. I cook it for like 20, 30 minutes. Sometimes, as long as put the sauce on when it's kind of in the oven for about a half hour, and then it kind of caramelizes on it.
Are you gonna refrigerate it, or
Yeah, you know, I think we should refrigerate it so you guys can see how it comes out. So we'll stop the video. We'll refrigerate it, or I'm sorry, we'll pause it. We'll refrigerate it, and we'll put it in the oven, and then you guys will see what it looks like when it comes out. All right, we're back. We took it out of the oven. We cooked it for, I think it was about 45 minutes or so. Still a little on the hot side. This is what it looks like when you're done. Put the red sauce on. It's ready to be cut and to serve it up. You should be able to just take a knife, just cut it. I usually use like a spatula and just kind of scoop a piece out. Usually the end piece is usually the hardest to get out. There you go. All right. So this is what you get. Double baked meatloaf. Let's see what it is. Oh yeah. Fantastic. Easy to make. Took me about an hour and a half. All fresh, simple ingredients. Really good. Thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching Recipe Remedy. Come back to our next videos. Thank you.